Welcome to Axe Talk, a podcast by Axe Capital, one of Dubai's leading real estate agencies. We provide you with short episodes to give you valuable tips on navigating Dubai's real estate market. I am Aram Grigorian, senior property expert, and today, in the first episode of the second season of Axe Talk, I will introduce a step-by-step guide to buying a property in Dubai. In the new second season of Axe Talk, I will walk you through the process of acquiring real estate from A to Z, step by step. To get started, we will need to break the purchase process into steps, shall we? So the first step is choosing the agent, getting acquainted, and getting into the first discussion. The second step is preliminary selection of suitable options. Step 3, property viewings and selection of the desired property. Step 4 is closing the deal, which is followed by step 5, which is completion of the construction of the property and taking handover of the unit. And the final step, step 6, moving in or renting the property out. We will devote the next 6 episodes to each of the steps in order to discuss them all in detail. In our previous episodes, we have touched on all these issues in one way or another, and I think it's time to cross the T's and dot the I's so that after listening to the second season of Axe Talk, you can become a professional property buyer in Dubai. Now let's get started. Today, we will analyze the first step in acquisition of a property in Dubai, which is choosing the agent, getting acquainted, and getting into the first discussion. We had a separate episode where we discussed in detail how to choose an agent and found all of the pitfalls that can be encountered along the way. Of course, you can go back to the episode. It's called How to Find Your Agent in Dubai. What we will discuss now is the first consultation with your agent. After you have chosen the agency and the agent you wish to work with, it is then time for the first consultation itself. And by the way, you can have several consultations with different agents. This can help you actually choose an agent. It is important to trust your intuition, to trust your gut. If you do not trust the agent with whom you communicate, your cooperation with him will be counterproductive. You should be comfortable. Before starting a consultation, you need to answer a few important questions yourself. I would actually say 4 questions. 1, what do I need this property for? 2, how much money am I willing to invest? 3, what are my priorities in choosing real estate? 4, do I have any non-standard preferences? Your communication with the agent will be based on your answers to these very questions. A competent specialist, of course, will ask you all these questions himself, but you may need a little more time to think about what is really important to you than you would have during the conversation with the agent. Let's take a closer look to each question. So the first question is, what do I need the property for? Here you need to find out, do you consider real estate as an investment? If so, what are you more focused on? The growth in the value of the property itself and further resale or rental income? If we're talking about capital appreciation, you actually need to spell out your expectations. Do you want to purchase the project at the launch and resell in 2 months? Or for you, this is more of a medium to long-term kind of investment that you're planning to sell in a few years? For rent, you need to understand, do you want to rent the property on a long-term basis? That is for a year, or short-term, which is, let's say, daily. Here's why it is important to answer these questions beforehand. In real estate, there is no one-size-fits-all. Therefore, you need to set priorities in order to make the right choice so that your investment works for you. As an example, if you buy an apartment or a villa in a wonderful gated community on the outskirts of the city, this option can be extremely convenient and suitable for you as a user, but for example, it will be almost impossible to rent this property out on short-term basis. Also, there are buildings and complexes where short-term rent is completely prohibited. In case if it's not investment you're looking for in a property, then it's for your personal use. Here, a good agent will pay more attention to your preferences, your lifestyle, your family members, etc., and give less priority to factors that help renting a property out, for instance. The second question on our list is, how much money am I willing to invest? Here, you need to consider different options. If you're considering an off-plan property, you will be provided with an interest-free installment plan. Maybe in this case, you would want to slightly increase your budget based on the installment options. If we're talking about a ready property purchase from a developer or on the secondary market, in most cases, there will be no installment plan, and you will need to pay the entire cost of the property almost at once. Also, do not forget, if one of the important factors for you is obtaining an UAE resident visa, there are certain requirements for the value of real estate. In some cases, you will receive an investor visa, in some cases, a golden visa, etc. We also have a detailed episode about this. You can look it up, of course. It's called How to Get a 10-Year UAE Golden Visa. The next question that needs to be answered is, what are my priorities in choosing real estate? As I said, there is no one size fits all when it comes to a property purchase in Dubai. Also, there is no real estate that will fit your request 100%, because it is almost impossible to create something that will match everyone's tastes completely. But a competent specialist will be able to find an option that should be, I would say, 80 to 95% ideal for you. To do this, he needs to know which of your preferences are a priority and which ones you can sacrifice if necessary. I'll give you an example. Let's say a client is looking for a 4-bedroom townhouse in a gated community with an on-site school, a large garden, a bedroom on the ground floor of the townhouse, an enclosed kitchen, and a master bedroom with maximum sun exposure. In this case, the agent needs to understand what is more important for the client so that he can select the properties based on the most important aspects. Then he would filter the options down based on additional preferences. In some cases, it may even be possible to satisfy almost all of the requirements of the client. In the example that I gave you, the client's priority is the school, since he has teenage children, then the presence of a bedroom on the ground floor, since he has elderly parents who can find it difficult to climb stairs, and the total number of bedrooms. He needs at least 4, because a smaller townhouse won't fit the family. Knowing the priorities doubles, if not triples, the efficiency of the agent, and he can offer the client suitable options that meet the basic requirements, and then he can filter down and offer the options that would include the additional preferences. And the last question that needs to be answered is, do I have any preferences that go out of the ordinary? This question is somewhat similar to the previous one. And the difference here is that here you need to think about some very specific preferences. For example, you need a basement in the villa, and in Dubai it is not so common. Or you want to have the ability to order food from the hotel where the apartment is located. Or, for example, as one of my clients actually asked me, I quote, I want an apartment that is above the clouds. So the client did not know yet that in the photographs that you see of skyscrapers above the clouds, it is actually fog and not the clouds. And that's something that happens only a few times a year. The answers to these questions that we've mentioned, of course, may change. The main thing here is just to have a general idea so that when you first talk with the agent, you can discuss all of that. I will explain why. It is absolutely normal if you may not know to the full what you want, or you just want to have an idea of what the property purchase process is or what the prices are. That's all normal, but it gets complicated for an agent when a client asks to send some options while not mentioning his goals, his preferences, or even his budget. And this is bad for both the agent and the client, because the agent cannot physically send all of the offers that are on the market. There are hundreds, if not thousands of them. And even if he did send them, no one would actually ever look at all of them. The agent chooses several options that are good at his discretion, and here the situation is quite subjective because the property may be good for resale but not suitable for short-term rent, and the line between what is good and bad becomes a bit blurry because what fits one client does not necessarily fit the other. Therefore, your interaction with the agent will turn into kind of gambling. Will he be able to send a project that suits you, not knowing what suits you? I guess we'll know the answer to that. I also understand that there is a psychological barrier in communicating with, still a stranger. How to share your personal preferences, your family details, and financial details with him. If you're very uncomfortable, just try to chat more on unrelated topics. Ask the agent some questions about him, his career, life in the UAE, whatever really. If you still don't feel comfortable, maybe consider changing your consultant. Perhaps something isn't working out. After you got an idea what your answers would be, feel free to go to a meeting or pick up the phone. My main advice here is to be open. This will be the most productive option for both parties. And remember that the task of an agent is to advise, not to sell. Because he has access to all real estate in the city, the agent does not work for a specific developer or a specific owner, and that's actually the benefit, one of the main benefits. After your initial consultation, the agent will select options for you and send them over for further discussion. And this is something that we will discuss in our next episode. If you have any questions or need a consultation, I will be happy to help. You can find my contact details in the description to this podcast. If you want us to cover a specific topic, send us a message and we will do that for you. Contact X Capital. We will be very happy to assist you with any property requests, even if they seem overwhelmingly complicated to you. Leave it to us. That is our specialty. Take care.